Yes, Jen. What is the reaction of the administration to private contractors now selling seats for thousands of dollars on charter flights out of Kabul?
Well, we are evacuating people free of cost because that is the right step to take, and certainly we wouldn't be supportive of profiting off of people who are desperate to get out of a country. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. I have a question on Afghanistan and then about a criminal justice matter.
Sure.
On Afghanistan, one of the real villains of the Taliban takeover has been former Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. President Biden has faulted him for not fostering national unity and not putting up much of a fight against the Taliban. There are reports that he fled the country with millions of dollars in cash, and members of Congress are asking the Biden administration for answers on whether that is indeed true. Does the U.S. government know if Ghani fled to Dubai with millions in cash, and will there be efforts to bring him to justice if so?
I don't have any more information on what former president did when he fled the country.
You don't know that answer?
I don't have any information.
And on criminal justice, you said in response to a Zolan question recently that President Biden is exploring using clemency for nonviolent drug offenders. It's rare for presidents to use clemency the first year in office. Should we expect any grants of clemency this year in 2021? And does that mean that the president is working toward honoring his campaign pledge to free everyone in prison for marijuana?
I don't have a timeline for you. I would just stand by what I said in response to Zolan's question about how he's considering clemency for nonviolent drug offenders. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. Earlier this summer, the president had planned to take some downtime this August, and I was wondering if there was still any vacation time on the books or anything that we may have to be aware of.
Not at this time. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask a follow-up to something Stephen asked.
Sure.
Is the expectation that they'll be able to be diplomatic, sort of consular, embassy-style services after the 31st withdrawal for those who may still need it in Afghanistan? And if so, like, how would that work?
I certainly understand the question, and it's a good question, and our Secretary of State answered a version of this. This is a discussion we're having right now to ensure that we look ahead to capabilities and capacities to evacuate individuals who want to depart after our military leaves.
And then one other one on infrastructure. Is the president satisfied with the House holding off a vote until the end of September? And did the White House, the president, play a role in sort of this agreement between the Speaker's office and the group of Democrats that were threatening to hold up the larger reconciliation bill?
Well, I would say first the president sees yesterday and the step forward yesterday as an enormous step forward for not only the legislation but for the American people, because the pieces of legislation that move forward include an extension of the child tax credit, more housing assistance, a great deal of funding and support for addressing the climate crisis, and a great deal of tax credits for the American people and components that will lower costs for people across the country. He supports the process that Speaker Pelosi has laid out. Obviously, there's a lot on the agenda, and yesterday was a positive step forward in his view. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. You've mentioned how the United States has been in touch with the Taliban, and because that's necessary because of the situation on the ground. I'm wondering, has the administration been in touch with Ahmad Massoud or any of the other anti-Taliban fighters there on the ground? What is the president's view of this? Does he expect that we will support some of these anti-Taliban fighters, or, as this 20-year war does come to a close, at this point, are they on their own?
It's a great question. I'll have to talk to our team on the ground to see if there's any more specifics we can provide.
And then I know you don't want to get ahead of the declassified report of the COVID origin, but is there any scenario where President Biden would be satisfied with an inconclusive result about the origin of the pandemic that killed so many Americans?
I can assure you the president wants to get to the bottom of the root causes of COVID-19 that has, as you noted, has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, and wishes that there had been more done earlier on to get to the bottom of it and to, of course, save more lives. Go ahead.
Jen, I just wanted to follow up on Steve's question about the sort of for-profit effort.
Yeah.
What is the administration doing to kind of protect people from exploitation? Given the desperation, there are reports that the defense contractor, Erik, is offering seats on a plane, evacuation plane, out for $6,500. And some people in desperation are taking that, not knowing there might be an NGO option, and are, I mean, essentially this is exploitation. What is the administration doing to kind of protect people when they are so desperate?
We are evacuating tens of thousands of people every day for free, and that's the focus that our military on the ground, our diplomats have on the ground. And if you're asking me about consequences or additional steps, I will have to check and see if there's any additional steps.
Could you comment specifically, though, on Erik Prince? I mean, he has already made so much money from the Afghan conflict, and now in these sort of final waning days is once again essentially exploiting people in order to make profit. I mean, what is the position of the administration that this is taking place as you are offering flights free of charge?
I don't think any human being who has a heart and soul would support efforts to profit off of people's agony and pain as they're trying to depart a country and fearing for their lives. Go ahead.
Jen, just to follow up on the rental assistance.
Sure.
What is the White House, or what is the administration's understanding for the delay of these billions of dollars not getting out? Is it at the state and local level, or is there red tape at the federal level, or is it a combination of that?
Well, a great deal of it is at the state and local level. It is, though, one, I think a couple things that may be misunderstood, maybe not by you, but about the program, which is that the program is designed to be distributed over the course of 3 years. So we didn't anticipate that all of the funding would be out in the course of 9 months. It's not. We still think it should be faster. We also have a responsibility from the federal government, of course, to make this easier. There is not a system that has been set up to distribute this type of funding on a federal level. So even very well-meaning leaders in states and localities are figuring out how to break through the bureaucracy and get this money out. Some states need to do a better job of that. I will note that in the data that was released today, there are some interesting statistics, and this just shows you state to state where the differences are, right? So in Kentucky, the program has shown consistent growth, most recently assisting 65% more households in July than in June. That's a dramatic improvement, of course, in that state. And program administrators attribute the recent growth to Treasury guidance that allows for self-attestation for the application process. So we're going to continue to try to cut red tape from here, too, if it makes it easier for states. Texas attributes their leveling off to having fully addressed existing application backlogs. They've done a very good job at getting this money out to people who need it. And North Carolina, which was a state slower to distribute assistance in prior months, saw notable increases this month as the investments they made in developing the program's infrastructure paid off. So point is, it's really different state to state. Certainly, as we've said, states and localities should not hesitate, should not delay in getting this money out, because this is how we can keep people in their homes. But we're also going to work from a federal level to cut red tape wherever we can.